Episode 2 begins with Towa recounting how she ended up on Shintaro's balcony that night, coming from the sky and crossing the entire city flying until she felt quite tired and found his grand castle. She was preparing dinner with the ingredients they had bought the day before and made a wonderful meal for them. Shintaro felt so grateful that he asked if she would like him to do something in return, and she asked him to teach her how to use the bathtub, so he did. What Shintaro really didn't expect was how difficult it would be for him not to imagine things while Towa was using his bathroom. He tried to distract himself by studying for his test a bit, but as soon as he finished, he went to use the bathroom, forgetting that Towa was still there. They ended up doing this at least twice, all because they forgot to lock the door. The next day, after another great meal prepared by Towa, it was time to go to school. Towa asked if she could come along, but Shintaro said it was better for her to stay home. Shintaro complained about how poorly he had been sleeping lately, even with Towa's wonderful meals. The lack of a good night's sleep left him pale, and even his friends noticed his condition when they saw him worrying his friend Tsutsumi, who still believed Shintaro lived alone. At home, Towa had just finished cleaning the house and washing the clothes when she remembered that Shintaro hadn't taken any snacks to school. She imagined that maybe he was starving and unhappy. It was snack time at school, and while their friends ate their snacks, Shintaro just drank a vegetable juice, as he was quite full from breakfast. They asked if that was really enough, and Tsutsumi, feeling sorry for Shintaro, asked if he would like her to prepare his snack for him. However, he didn't have time to respond because Towa flew in through the school window. He quickly tried to cover up and asked her to go to the rooftop. He ran to meet her, and Shuichi wondered if maybe he was going to meet a girl, which made Tsutsumi very angry. When they got there, Shintaro asked what she was doing at school, even though he had asked her not to go. Shintaro was thinking about what would happen from now on, because if she was seen flying around with those wings and people found out that angels exist, everything would be over. Towa apologized and said she was just worried, imagining that maybe he was starving, and said she was already leaving. But Shintaro asked her to stay and eat with him. They shared the snack together, and after a while, Tsutsumi, while carrying some materials, saw the two saying goodbye through the window and saw Towa flying away. Shintaro was taken by surprise when he arrived home and saw that Towa had washed all his clothes, including his underwear, things he didn't want her to do as it made him feel embarrassed. To make matters worse, she even sewed up a hole in one of them using a teddy bear as a pad. Shintaro asked Towa not to wash his underwear anymore, as he would take care of it himself. The scene shifts to Tsutsumi, who was still thinking about the supernatural event she had witnessed with her own eyes. She wanted to ask Shintaro about the girl, but she didn't have the courage. She had liked Shintaro a lot. He had been her first crush since childhood. One day when she was a child, she got lost on her way home and ended up finding Shintaro, who helped her get back home. Since that day, she had liked him. The next day, Shintaro was almost leaving home when Towa arrived with his lunch. A lunch he didn't want to take to school for fear of being questioned and raising suspicions about Towa. At that moment, combined with the previous night when he chose to sleep on the floor, it led her to believe that Shintaro might be angry with her. Eventually, he accepted it to avoid more tears and said he would be back later today because he had to work. At school, Shintaro tried to disguise his lunch in every way, but it was in vain because his friend Shuichi called him to have lunch together. Tsutsumi was about to ask if he would like her to make his lunch, but Shintaro already had his lunch ready. He tried to disguise it more, but it didn't help much. His lunch still had a little heart decoration. When Shintaro arrived at work, his boss informed him that the girl hired 2 weeks ago would work on the same shift as him today. Then, he accidentally opened the employee's room door without knocking and found the girl, who by the way also studied at the same school as Shintaro. He saw her in a rather uncomfortable position. Shintaro received a strong slap as punishment, but then the girl gave him a frozen cloth to put on the brood. She introduced herself as Izumi and asked them to forget about what had happened. They both continued to work normally, even though Shintaro still saw cherries everywhere. The situation got worse when they finished work, and their boss reserved a parfait for the two of them. The problem was that the parfait had cherries, which made Izumi even redder with embarrassment, although she said it didn't bother her anymore. Suddenly, the whole room started to get cold, as if a snowstorm had started right there inside the restaurant. Izumi said she was a Yuki-onna, a snow woman from Japanese folklore, who lives in the mountains, seduces men, and does things that ghosts do. Shintaro asked her to calm down, and they both went outside together, with Izumi carrying the parfait. As soon as they left, the temperature in the restaurant returned to normal. It was already very late, and Tsutsumi couldn't focus on studying, so she decided to go out and buy some ice cream. Meanwhile, Shintaro and Izumi were sitting on a bench, and after enjoying the parfait, Izumi asked Shintaro if he really believed in what she had said. He said yes, because if angels exist, demons can also exist, and why not creatures from folklore? Izumi told the sad story of her life, saying it had been part of her family for generations. Both her mother and grandmother were Yuki Anna. Every time they felt embarrassed, sad, or angry, they froze everything around them. Izumi was terrible at controlling her emotions, and because of that, she had no friends and had always been unsociable. To say all these things to a guy she had just met was too much for Izumi. She felt guilty for causing all this commotion just because Shintaro had seen her changing. But our hero gave her a beautiful motivational speech and calmed her down. Izumi felt so good with Shintaro's words that she ended up asking if he would like to be her friend. He accepted, and she finally has her first friend. After that, much to Shintaro's happiness, Towa appeared flying together with Tsutsumi. The three girls met, and the two were amazed to see an angel for the first time. Towa claimed to be a real angel, coming to Earth with the purpose of studying human. Shintaro told how he met Towa and about her living with him. Tsutsumi finally found out who had prepared his lunch that day. After much conversation, Izumi also revealed her secret, using her powers to prove she was truly a Yuki Anna, and they became friends. Arriving home extremely exhausted, Shintaro had a horrible dream where men in special clothes entered his house, claiming he was hiding an angel and a Yuki Anna, and they took Towa and Izumi while Shintaro couldn't do anything. He woke up stunned from the nightmare and with dark circles. At school, he met Tsutsumi, who also had dark circles, and she said to herself that she accepted easily the idea of having met an angel and a Yuki Anna personally. But imagining that Shintaro was living with a girl at home was too much for her, so much so that she couldn't sleep that night. To satisfy her doubts, she asked Shintaro if he had anything with Towa or Izumi, and he answered no, leaving her relieved. At the end of the day, he met Izumi, who seemed to be waiting for someone. When two guys invited her to karaoke, they received a cold response. Shintaro realized Izumi was waiting for him. She seemed completely different, all excited about the new friend, wanting to go out and do everything that friends do together. Shintaro explained they couldn't go out because he had to work after school, just like her. She postponed the walk home for a day when they were both free, and left alone. Shintaro finally understood why she was bad at making friends. Towa was at home thinking about Shintaro's job and where it could be. She decided to ask a kitten where Shintaro worked. The scene shifts to Shintaro at work, and when Izumi saw him, she greeted him cheerfully. Shintaro's boss discreetly called him to ask if he and Izumi were having an affair, as she had asked to be on the same schedule as Shintaro next month, and Shintaro promptly denied it. Shintaro received a visit from Tsutsumi and Towa at work. Towa explained that she was following the kitten, and soon lost sight of it, but luckily ran into Tsutsumi along the way. Tsutsumi's intentions were different. She wanted to observe Izumi and Shintaro's relationship during work, and her conclusion was that the two were very close. When Izumi saw that Towa was at the restaurant, she ran to warn Shintaro, which caused the boss to call her out for being so energetic that day. After that, she realized that it would be impossible to maintain her friendship with Shintaro and work at the same time, so she told him they could no longer be friends. While the two decided what to order, Towa asked why Shintaro was working. Tsutsumi explained that it was normal for some students because sometimes allowance is not enough to survive. Tsutsumi asked for permission to use the bathroom, and Towa started serving the restaurant's customer. Shintaro took her aside and asked what she was doing. She replied that she wanted to help so he could finish quickly and go home earlier, but he explained that it wouldn't change anything because he had a schedule to keep. Towa felt guilty for not doing anything while Shintaro was working, but he said what she does was very important to him because his life had improved since she appeared. She was happy, and the boss, who was watching them from afar, thought Shintaro might be involved in a love triangle. but he was surprised by Izumi's presence, who said she had changed her mind and now wanted to change her schedules to no longer work with Shintaro. So guys, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to rate the video and leave a thumbs up to support. If you like the content on the channel, you can also make a donation. That way, I'll make a video promoting the anime of your choice. The link is in the description. Thanks for the support and see you in the next video.